my butt. Suck my butt.
How would you children like to suck on my chocolate salty balls?
Oh, you mean like a chocolate candy?
No, I mean my balls.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. That's right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of SMB,
Suck my butt.
a South Park review. That's right, SMB, Suck My Balls, a South Park review. I, of course, am your host in the heat. I cannot be beat. I'm your guy who's high where the air is dry. Your boy, MSG. Follow us as a podcast, Suck My Balls, SMB, South Park Pod. Everywhere. South Park Pods with an S on Twitter. South Park Podcast on Instagram. I, of course, am not alone. I'm joined by the OG, the Mac Daddy, the S to the C, the double OP.
I'm out.
And we're back.
Going back to the roots.
The OG style. Double duo. We're back to review South Park here for you. And this week is episode number 160. That's right. 160.
Nice.
That's how we bring it back with the two bros, the originals. Now you knows. And in this episode, it's about Cartman being racist, but also his racism leads to the stopping of a national terrorist act. So we're going to get into it today, as this is the Snuke. Shout out, of course, to our other two co-hosts, Dane and Joe, who were not here today. Hopefully they're enjoying the holidays as well. But let's get rocking and rolling here. So this is, like I mentioned, the Snuke. It, of course, aired on March 28th, 2007. It is the 157th overall episode of South Park. And as I mentioned, it is episode number 160 for us. Cartman follows a lead in a possible terrorist attack. Hillary Clinton makes a campaign stop in South Park for her big campaign election. It's her rally. Hill dog, hill dog, hill dog, hill dog. So during class, this episode starts out with Mr. Garrison introducing this new student named Bahir Hassan Abdul Hakim. And this, of course, freaks Cartman the fuck out.
Yeah.
And of course, Garrison asks what is wrong. Cartman says he suspects Bahir to be a terrorist. And of course, everyone's like, well, dude, you can't just think every Muslim that comes along is a terrorist. But in Cartman's case, he's just racist about really everybody. Anybody that could infringe on him.
That Cartman's just racist.
Of course, this is going to lead to Cartman contacting Kyle after noticing that Bahir is playing with Butters on the playground. So let's go ahead here and we'll jump into our first clip here as what happens when Bahir makes his way into the classroom.
Let's take our seats. Everyone try to be nice because we have a new student joining us today. And I know you all make him feel welcome. Say hello to Bahir Hassan Abdul Hakim.
Uh-oh.
Welcome to our class, Bahir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dude, not.
Empty desk for now.
Okay.
Eric, what the hell is wrong with you?
What's wrong? Has he been checked for bombs?
Eric, that's enough. Not all Muslim people are terrorists.
Not all Muslim people are terrorists. That is accurate. But of course, Cartman doesn't know that. He's a racist, and he thinks that all Muslims are terrorists based on what the media and propaganda news has told him, Scoop. So this, of course, leads to, as I mentioned, Butters is hanging out, watching Butters play on the playground with Bahir, and then he calls Kyle, and then all of a sudden this turns into a parody of the episode 24 with Jack Bauer. Jack Bauer. I've got 24 hours to figure this out. Otherwise, people are going to die. And like each episode is only an hour, so they make it 24 episodes per season. I mean, yeah, that's how that show works. You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, 24. Each episode's an hour of the 24 hours.
That's interesting.
There's a lot that goes down in this 24 hours.
Yeah, apparently so.
How do you think you get a whole freaking year out of it, I guess?
Wow.
A lot. It's certainly a lot. So following this, as we mentioned, Butters is, after playing on the playground, Kyle receives a call from Cartman
Yeah? Kyle, are you on your computer? What? No, I'm sick. Get online. I need you to check something for me. Dude, leave me alone. Every one of our friends might be in serious danger. Really? What? Why? Get online now. All right. Go to MySpace. See if there's a MySpace page for a Bahir Hakim. Bahir.
MySpace back in the day.
MySpace.
Favorite color is
So that's
Oh, I want to check
so this is during MySpace.
Yeah,
Oh wait,
it's just
No, Facebook.
white stripe.
still college.
That's funny. What? He told everyone in class today his favorite band was Blink 182.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
He lied to Carmen. Yeah. Oh wait. As I mentioned, I think I mentioned I was talking about this before. Facebook started off as college things. You had to be in college to use Facebook. I don't think it became public till like 2010, 2011, like when it went public.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Otherwise, it was always MySpace before that. Interesting times. Interesting times. So as you heard there, Cartman called Kyle, and he informs Kyle that he doesn't believe that Bahui here, who says who he thinks he is, because obviously he said that his favorite band was White Stripes online, but he told everybody in class it was Blink 182. That's weird. He told everybody in class. So Cartman then calls Officer Barb Brady, and he tells him, "Who is this? Who is this? Hello, who is this?" He tells him that the school is in danger, and Barb Brady contacts Principal Victoria, and the school is evacuated. Butters then invites Bahir over to his house to play checkers. Cartman though does think it's odd for terrorists to just blow up a school, and then Kyle does a search on Google for any important upcoming events. Kyle discovers that Hillary Clinton is stopping in South Park for a campaign rally that day. Cartman then calls the CIA to call them off the rally and demands to speak with the president.
About Hill Dog.
Hill Dog. I know you got problems with the Hill Dog. All right, so let's go ahead here. We'll jump into a clip as when Cartman calls Officer Barb Brady, and Officer Barb Brady doesn't understand who or what is going on.
From what? Who is this?
I've just ID'd a Muslim and his MySpace page does not check out. You've got to get these people out of here now.
Are you serious?
If I wasn't serious, would I
MySpace
stop like
page, just check it out.
What?
whispering, but whispering really loudly?
Whispering loudly for dramatic effect.
Oh, jeez.
Cartman does actually get them out of school, I guess, there with that terrorist bomb threat. So I guess if you're a child, you're probably not too mad at Cartman because you got out of school, right?
I remember when bomb threats at school were pretty commonplace.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, my school got hit twice with a bomb threat.
That's never happened to me.
No?
No. Maybe arson. There's been arson threats, like, oh, somebody lit something off on fire in a room. We have to go out, but no bomb threats.
Yeah, bomb threat. Nobody with like weapons or guns or anything, but yeah, 2 bomb threats. Yeah, my freshman year and then my junior.
That's scary.
Yeah, it
Those
was.
little-
It was. It was
why'd
a
you-
little.
I might not have gone to that school after the first time. But yeah, that's me. I don't know. So as you heard, Cartman called in the Officer Barb Brady, and then from there, Cartman then calls back Kyle and continues this conversation in regards to something's going on.
Yeah, well, I don't like it. Doesn't follow. What doesn't follow? Why would a terrorist just blow up a school? It's not their MO. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Unless this was all just a big diversion. Kyle, I need you to Google search the South Park Chamber of Commerce. Okay. Their website should have a calendar of events. Is there anything big going on in town today? Yeah, actually there is. What? There's a Hillary Clinton campaign rally. Cartman? Cartman?
So Cartman not taking off. Cartman mentioned he
Saying there's going to be
calls the CIA.
rally today. What? This is CIA head Alan Thompson.
Mr. Thompson, you have to call off the Clinton rally. There's a terrorist in South Park.
What do you know?
What do you know?
Show him out of the blue.
You said it.
President right away.
I'm the head of the CIA. You can tell me.
yeah.
I will only talk to the president.
Look, if you have information of a threat, you can. I will have you arrested for it.
I can't hear.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Oh,
making his way
surprise.
back to the podcast. He's the doctor of thugonomics, punkonomics, polyphonics, and now scooponomics. He is also the Ret 2022 South Park, Red Rocks, Day 1 trivia champion. He is a trivia god. Joe Vernola back on the podcast. Thanks for stopping by, Dirty J.
Yeah, I'm a little late, but better late than never.
Better late than never.
Applies. Yeah.
Shout out to Primo's Pro Wrestling, the event that Joe Vernolo helps write and book for, as a number of his wrestlers and entertainers, which you can see on primosprowrestling.net, as well as every month at the Roxy, right, in Denver, Colorado.
Yep.
You can check them
Every
out
month on Fight.
on Fight. You can also check them out on AEW Dark Elevation, as they took on
Yeah.
top talent in the world of professional wrestling.
Top talent, baby.
Including not only that, Joe's roommate who's made me dinner. She wrestled former AEW champion Hikaru Shida. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna be like, yeah, she made me dinner.
Yeah.
Big deal.
I told her shut up and go make me Krapow.
I was hanging out with her during Thanksgiving. I showed her how awesome I was at Super Nintendo, at Super Mario World. Whatever. I'm pretty cool too.
We still haven't touched that save file.
That's right.
He did all 96 in like 2 hours, something like that. Probably quicker than that.
That's crazy. Sorry. Anyway, continuing on. Welcome back to this podcast, Joe. You joined us just as getting through the fact that Cartman called the CIA after he convinced Kyle that, of course, Bahir. Oh, what did I had the name up here. It's a very long name.
Bahir
Hassan Abdul Hakim. After he convinces Kyle that Bahir Hassan Abdul Hakim is, I just wanted to say it fast, is potentially terrorist. He tried calling Officer Barb Brady. Who is this? And Officer Barb Brady gave him no attention. And then now he contacted the CIA as you were there, because him and Kyle figured out that Hill Dog is having a rally set to take place in South Park, Colorado.
Who let the dogs out?
Well, moving on now, Hillary Clinton is then informed that there's a threat, but does not call off the rally, declaring that she will not be bullied by terrorist threats. Chris, one of her men, then calls a Russian group in a warehouse and tells them they know about the bomb. It was planned to be detonated. It was planned to be detonated in Boston, but high security might push it off to set it off in South Park. We have to detonate bomb now. So this leads to the Hillary Clinton rally. Cartman is there at the rally itself, searching the crowd, but does not find Bahir, because he thinks, of course, Bahir is the one who's in charge of this. However, he decides to head over to his house. And then at the rally itself, Hillary Clinton gets on stage and the CIA releases a bomb-sniffing pig, which will discover that there is, in fact, a bomb inside Hillary Clinton's vagina. Vagina. As Scoop likes to say. The vagine. The vagine. As following that, the CIA had Alan Thompson and his team meet up with Cartman. They head over to Bahir's house together. As they're walking down the street. I'm in town. I'm right next to him, as they're walking down the street talking to each other. So they get over to Bahir's house and find out that Bahir is not there, of course. Stan heads over to Kyle's house to see what he's doing. Kyle explains that he did a Google search for Hillary Clinton's campaign rally and was led to a YouTube account where a Russian man named Vladimir Stolsky, the leader of the Russian terrorists, has videos of every single Hillary Clinton rally. He then cross-referenced that Vladimir's YouTube profile with his MySpace page and blog, revealing that he's an old-school communist. There's a lot of work there. Old school communist. It was a lot of work there for him to uncover all that information, all that cross-referencing back then. It's not as easy as it is now, where you just type in Google and it immediately comes up about that person, right? Like, he had to do a little bit of work there. MySpace profile. Joe, did you have a MySpace profile? Were you big into MySpace at all? I don't know if we ever had a conversation.
Yeah, I was totally into MySpace.
You had your top. Do you have your top 8, top 12? Or would you have just top 4? Top 4.
I think it was an 8 that eventually became like a 24 after that, once they let you expand it. And like, I was a little too into it. I'd like rotate people in and out and shit. Like, you pissed me off this week. I don't like you. but but like
It's interesting.
okay,
though.
maybe not that bad, but like I also wasn't the dank ass meme lord and shit starter that I am now, so
I feel like
I wouldn't have gotten kicked off.
I feel like
Yeah.
when the top 8, when it expanded past the top 8, that might have been the point where I started to fall off. I'm like, this is getting ridiculous. Now the top 24. Why don't you just fucking look at all my friends? Okay? Top 24, that's a lot. Top 8, that's a good number. You know, top 8.
I never expanded mine. I just left it at the top 8.
Oh, good job. Because for a while there was top 4, and I remember that one was hard to get into arguments with your friends. Well, put me in your top 4. And then when top 8 came around, I was like, oh shit, everybody's in the top 8. Top 24 kind of seems
Got to
like,
rotate people out like Joe was saying.
kind of seems like everybody gets a participation trophy, Joe, in my opinion. But that's my opinion alone. So Kyle and Stan now find a bunch of old podcasts by Vladimir, which links to eBay, and a plan to search his username, which then he's been buying. Homeland Security breaks in and takes over the room. FBI takes over, and the ATF takes over, and then the president's staff personally takes over as a constant of not anymore. You're not. I'm in charge. Who's in charge here? Not anymore. You're not.
Not anymore.
And while we mentioned the CIA went to Bahir's house, his parents were there. Bahir wasn't, so Bahir's parents are taken into custody. And it's at this point that Cartman then interrogates her and the father by doing so with apple juice, because apple juice, when injected into his veins, gives him really bad farts.
I have to find that detonator. Let me have time with him. You will tell me where your son is.
He should be at school. Hey,
Get him!
Where is the detonator?
what detonator are you talking?
I can do this all day.
I don't know anything about him. Oh, stop it! Really?
You can make it stop.
I don't have it.
This is technically
Are we just
torture.
gonna let this go on?
This would, I mean, that is chemical warfare right there.
eBay. Should be able to search his username on eBay.
I think it's a gray area.
Barry, set up over there. Two of you can take that bed area.
Hey,
Donner, take over that station.
what's going on?
This department's being absorbed by Homeland Security.
Homeland Security?
Look, your little game of going over people's heads is over. You can still work, but from now on you answer to me. You got that? Excuse me, who's in charge here? I am. Yeah, well, not anymore, you're not. This department has just been assigned to the FBI. That's outrageous! On whose order? On order of the Secretary of Defense. You had your shot, now I'm in charge. Not anymore, you're not. Orders just came down from Central. They want ATF handling this on all fronts. All right, people, from now on you're answering to me. Not anymore.
Not anymore, you're not.
President, he wants this handled by his staff personally. Now Nelson is in charge.
Not anymore. I'm not. Everybody's just freaking out. So as you heard a couple scenes there, but Cartman was using chemical warfare with his ass, and everybody was jumping in to take over. So now Cartman rushes to Butter's house because he finds out after Bahir calls his mother to check in and says, "Where are you? I thought you were supposed to be at school." "Oh, we got out of school early. I'm at Butter's house." "Who is Butters?" And then, of course, Cartman's like, "Butters." So Cartman rushes to Butter's house to confront Bahir. They are both captured, though, by Vladimir, the Russian, who says that this was all planned. Because at first Cartman's like, "I'm done playing this anymore. I don't want to play this anymore." So they capture him, and they're kind of doing the whole cliche villain reveals his plan to the captured scene. And in this scene, he reveals that we are the United States' oldest enemy. And Cartman's like, "The Russians?" And he's like, "No, older." He's like, "The Germans." And he's like, "No, before that." He's like, "The Germans again?"
The Germans again.
And then he's like, even further than that." He's like, "You can't be serious." And of course, he's talking about the British. Talking about the old,
Yeah, and then I love that they have like the old British Navy.
yeah, the old British Navy and
The
song,
horrible teeth.
the Queen music, or whatever.
Right, and
called.
it's like all the wooden ships instead of like the badass dreadnoughts they have now.
And of course, Bahir, though, says that the British are using them and Vladimir and all his men will die, to which Vladimir responds, "Maybe, but we'll be rich."
But we'll be rich.
That's all they care about was being rich before they die, I guess. All right, so let's go to the capture scene, as I mentioned, when Bakir and Cartman are having that conversation with the Russian Vladimir.
You called and warned the government of our plans. What you don't know is that we are simply mercenaries. We were paid
Simply
to send out the Snuke
mercenaries.
so that the real enemy of America could attack.
That's cool. I'm fine with Muslims invading.
You really think Muslims are behind this terrorist threat?
Yes, of course.
America had other enemies before the Muslims, you know. Who is America's oldest enemy?
The Russians?
Before that.
The Germans?
Before that.
The Germans again?
Germans again.
Before that. I am talking about the oldest threat to America. The greatest enemy America has ever known.
You can't
Can't
mean.
possibly mean.
Yeah. They're nice little wooden ships
200 years we've
and their
waited.
muskets.
Finally, we will get those traitors to the
200
ground.
years. They waited 200 years.
Yes, Your Majesty.
The Russians are ready to set off the defense.
Actually, that.
For sale, Your
Wait a
Majesty.
minute. 200 years?
It was
That
like
doesn't make sense.
it would have been 230 years at that point. This aired what 2007?
This aired in 2008. So I was just thinking.
Okay,
So 1776 to 1996, right? 200 years.
yeah, so it was 230 years. It was like 231, 232
A little bit
years.
more than 200 years. So, but also there was also, of course, the War of 1812. So they did try in 1812 to get back the United States under the.
They tried.
They failed. Maybe that's what they're referring to.
Maybe 200.
They rounded 195 up to 200
Sons of bitches.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
because they created a language. They don't need to be good at math.
Right. That's what the Greeks are for.
Solid burn.
Yeah. The
That was
British.
solid.
Now, the British planned to use the bomb as a means of keeping America distracted while they sail in their wooden boats with the 18th century weapons and clothing to end the American Revolution. However, not long after that, Kyle and the federal agents also discover the British plot, so they send troops to stop the Russians and jets to stop the British. This couple scenes here are pretty good here, as, of course, they're like, we have failed you. We have failed you, my queen. There's also the scene of the people going in to get the Snuke out of Hillary Clinton's vagina, and nobody wants to go into her vagina, and then somebody dies. So we're going to jump to that scene because I think that scene's really funny.
All right, Brian, this is it. Get in there and see if you can disarm the Snuke in Miss Clinton's snatch.
All right. I'm nearing her sniz now.
God help him.
God
What do you
help
see,
him.
Brian?
It's dark. Cold.
You're doing fine, Brian. Get as close as you can.
Doing
you have
fine.
to look inside the sniz.
All right. I'm looking. Yes, I see. I see the device. Oh,
You're doing great, Brian. Hang in there.
there's a metal housing, some kind of three-pronged triggering mechanism that... Wait, there's something else here.
There's something else.
Something.
Say again, Brian.
Oh God, it's eating my head.
Snook's car. It's... Oh God, it's looking at me.
Brian, get out of there!
What are you? I have no qualms with you. Stay back. Stay back.
Brian, what's happening?
It's eating my head. It's eating my head.
Oh my! Ridiculous.
I have no qualm with you.
I have no qualm with you, vagina.
I wonder what it was.
I have no qualm with you, Minji. Minji.
It was Pocket Pants, her pussy troll.
So now
Pillow Pants, that's right.
pillow pants. So now we jump over, as I mentioned, to the Americans finding out about the plot. So they come in to stop the British.
It doesn't matter. The detonator is on a timer. You are too late.
Tell the
In 3 minutes.
the 24 parody, as we mentioned, and then the lights and the electricity go out, and apparently this resets bombs. I didn't know this. Because he had it plugged into the wall, I guess.
Apparently.
So they all get shot.
No! I don't want to die without being paid!
He wants to be rich, of course.
He wants to get paid first.
Yeah.
Why did he explode?
You are clear to proceed.
Here comes the British. Apparently the British have not gotten planes yet. They're still doing everything by boat.
They're about to get scooped.
How? Fire at will!
Fire at will! Now all the British are going to fall in peril here, and the Queen's going to find out, and then she's going to shoot herself in the head.
Yes! Your Majesty, the attack has failed. We were unable to end the American Revolution. I see.
I see.
Oh. R.I.P.
R.I.P. Queen. R.I.P. Yes.
R.I.P.
Queen.
Lizzie.
Yes, Queen.
R.I.P. Queen.
Yes. So, of course, Queen Elizabeth, as we mentioned, killed herself. Now, the final scene here is Cartman then takes credit for stopping the terrorist plot, saying that even though Muslims were not responsible, his intolerance led to the plot being discovered. Bahir and his family are outraged by the racism in South Park and state they will leave the country, much to now Butter's disappointment, who just made a new friend, which of course leads to Cartman rubbing in Kyle's face. My racism and ignorance saved the world. So
I think he says yours because Kyle's upset that he was raped.
no, let's watch the scene, and we'll have that conversation here. Let me see.
I thought Cartman was saying that Kyle was racist and his racism saved the day.
Nope.
Make him feel
Your
even
life and everyone
worse.
else's. So really, you owe me an apology. But that's cool.
That's
You
here.
didn't save everyone. I did. You were just out harassing Muslims.
Right, my
But
racism.
if I hadn't called you in the first place to check out the Muslim, you would have just stayed in bed sick all day, right? Maybe. Maybe. If I hadn't called you, you wouldn't have been on your computer checking out the Clinton rally. That means my intolerance of Muslims saved America. That is so missing the point. Me being a bigot stopped a nuclear bomb from going off, yes or no?
Okay, now I
That's
see.
not the right way to look at it. Yes or no, Kyle? No. Not like you're saying. But that's what I'm trying to say. Bigotry and racism saved the day. But here you get this, right?
Here you get it, man.
Get away from that disgusting child. Get back home and start packing your things. We are leaving this whole intolerant country.
You got rid of the Muslims, huh?
Fucking Cartman.
Who got rid of the Muslims, huh?
Huh?
That was all me. Simple thank you was suffice.
A simple thank you, is it fast?
Yeah, but anyway, fast. And ladies and gentlemen, that of course is how this episode concludes. There, quick little recap there for you as we kind of fly out there. We're trying to keep the episode down in time wise, but yes, that's basically the plot. The recap: Cartman was racist, and because of his racism, it led to him calling Kyle to then finding out that there was a terrorist threat. First of all, with a nuclear bomb apparently inside of Hillary Clinton's vagina, her Snuke. And there was a timer that never went off. But Cartman, yes, he unfortunately was racist. We found out that apple juice gives him really bad farts when injected to his veins. And Butters unfortunately lost out on another friend.
Yeah.
We'll be back, guys, on the other side with some trivia, some pop culture, and some more after we hear a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Subscribe to Suck My Balls, a South Park review on Spotify, Apple's, iTunes, anywhere you want to download a podcast. Just type that in, subscribe to our feed, and you'll get the latest, greatest episode each and every week. You can also listen to us on YouTube and go back and watch some videos or any of our library. It's all there. Suck My Balls, South Park review.
And we are back. Once again, shout out to our sponsors provided by Spreaker. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button and drop a comment on what your favorite moment from this episode was. Joe, the 2022 Trivia God. Start us off with some trivia.
In Canada, this episode aired on October 19th, which is the birthday of both Stan Marsh and co-creator Trey Parker. Kenny appears only briefly in the beginning of this episode. In class, Stan and Wendy can be seen casually talking to each other at the start of the episode, which is technically their first interaction since Follow That Egg. Egg. Bahir has a MySpace page, although the minimum age for registration is 13, and Bahir is in the 4th grade, which makes him 10 at the most.
That's a good point.
Oh God, he lied about his age.
That's a good point, though. That's a good point.
Yeah, they were all on Facebook before being 13 too. So
Yeah, that's a different story.
Different story.
This is the second episode to take place in real time. The first being the new Terrence and Phillip movie trailer, meaning that everything went minute by minute, meaning real time. There was no fast forwarding of time or anything like that. A source of irony and possible commentary on the U.S. school system. When Cartman first meets Bahir in class and starts to walk out, a school poster on the right reads "School Rules, SKOOLROOLS." In the commentary for this episode, Matt and Trey mentioned how much they loved season 5 of 24, which is fucking fantastic. They also mentioned that the cast and crew of 24 watched this episode and were so high on it that they sent Matt and Trey a prop suitcase Snuke a week later.
That's funny.
That's fucking sick.
That's fucking great.
I love it.
Yeah, dude. That's like right up there with Matt Groening sending them flowers after Cartoon Wars.
Right.
Or it may not have been Matt Groening personally, but
Hill.
it was like this staff. Oh, it was King of the Hill. I thought it was The Simpsons. So it was Mike Judge. Okay. Yeah, I could totally see Mike Judge. Yeah. So in the commentary, went through that. When Mr. Thompson says everyone in the town of South Park is going to die forever, this may not have been him being stupid, but an indirect reference to Kenny dying and being perfectly fine in the next episode. So probably a little column A, a little column B here. This might be looking a little too deeply into the joke. While being held hostage, Cartman and Vladimir discuss which country is America's oldest enemy. All of the countries that Cartman names were in fact at war with the United States at one point, including Russia with the Cold War from 1946 to 1991.
That's a long war.
Yeah, it wasn't technically a war. It was never declared, but and like honestly, it hasn't really thought out much. Especially, well, depending on who you ask. The Germans in 1914 to 1918, and the Germans again in World War II from 39 to 45.
That's the one you served in, right?
Screw you. I love the look that Scoop gave you. That was fantastic. Oh my god, screw you, man.
That's the look that I gave him. I was like, screw this guy.
Right, yeah. Right, because we were like, fuck you. We were at the same time. He's insulting me. He's like,
right? It's like, dude.
Like, fuck you. And then obviously, of course, the English with the American Revolution from 1775 to 83, and the War of 1812, which ran from 1812 to 1815, which I think is the one they were referring to when they said 200 years.
I was always when I was a kid growing up, in history class, for whatever reason, the War of 1812 always just fascinated me. Like, it was like the fact that the United States has already claimed their freedom by this point now for 30, 40 years, and you're going to try and come back in now and take control? Like, what?
After we've gotten a chance to kind of establish
Yeah,
ourselves, it was
yeah.
like they came and got a spanking.
Yeah, they came and speaking.
Yeah, I'm just curious what about 1812 about the War of 1812 made Tchaikovsky write the 1812 overture. Although he was Russian, so it may have had something to do with something going on over there. But I'm American. He wrote it about us.
Yes, sir. Goddamn.
I don't. That 1812 overture? No? Okay.
Maybe because it was like, oh no, I can't. Like the biggest modern war at the time.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
No.
Maybe.
If you're a classic music buff, you can email us.
Yeah, educate us.
Moving on. But here's I like how once I jumped in, everything probably went so far off the fucking rails. Matt's so mad at me. But here's MySpace page. Displays 4 users among his friends list, which are depicted with avatars created with the Avatar Creator tool on the South Park Studios website. The Avatar Creator is in turn an older variant of an early version of SP Studio, a independent creation tool they created in 2002 with its artwork originating from SP Studio. No credits for SP Studio exists in either the episode or the SPS Avatar Creator tool.
All right, and now for some pop culture. Ian, take it away.
This episode contains many references to the TV series 24. Some of the references include, and there's many, Cartman speaking with a harsh voice, demanding to speak only with the president and using torture to get what he wants, is a reference to CTU director Jack Bauer. Kyle using his computer and relaying information to Cartman is reference to CTU intelligence analyst Chloe O'Brien. The use of split screens and electronic clock countdown with the ominous pulsating beep and the phrase, "The following takes place between," are common elements seen in every episode of 24. Jittery camera footage and quick zooming are also common elements in 24. Alright, that's straining a little bit. The head of the CIA bears a strong resemblance to CTU director Bill Buchanan? Buchanan? Okay. No, okay, that's what Buchanan looks like. Got it. All the cell phone ringtones are exactly like the CTU one. Kyle's room being absorbed by the CIA and other government agencies. Not anymore, you're not. Reference to season 5 subplot involving several power struggles, eventually leading to CTU being absorbed by Homeland Security.
Yeah.
Vladimir Staskovsky might be a parody of Vladimir Bierko. Bierko? Bierko. A 24 character portrayed by Julian Sands. Jesus Christ. In the scene where Hillary Clinton's aide, Brian, tries to get the Snuke from Clinton's vagine, and when he gets eaten is similar to the movie Teeth. I didn't even think of that. Hillary Clinton using a heavy Southern accent when addressing the South Park rally is reference to an incident that occurred in 2007, which used a heavy stereotypical Southern accent to address the Baptist church during a campaign. I remember that.
Right. And like, if you remember when she was running for Senate, she just like all of a sudden became the world's biggest Yankee fan and had like the freshest looking Yankee hat at like every public appearance.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
I was buying a lot of Yankee hats at that time, and I envied that woman's collection because they were so clean.
Scoot, last one there.
Yeah, that was at the campaign stop in Selma, Alabama, leading to accusations of faking accents to pander to the audience.
That makes sense.
Real life bands Blink-182 and the White Stripes are mentioned as being Bahir's favorites.
All right, here's a little bit of controversy and continuity. The scene in which the Queen kills herself was somewhat controversial in the United Kingdom and was actually mentioned on various news channels.
Suck it, you.
Yeah, they get really uptight about of fucking well, no, not even violence, just like violence against the queen or the royal family. Like, she has no fucking power. She's born into money. She was born into money. That's what she's famous for at this point. Like,
this point, the American taxpayer, or sorry, the UK taxpayers are the ones that are propping up the queen. That's why all their tax money is to keep this king and queen bullshit alive.
right, but like they still have a shit ton of money themselves. Like like if the parliament decided tomorrow, like, yo, we're not supporting this shit anymore, like the Windsor Mountbatten family isn't gonna fucking
true. Here's some references to continuity. A couple things. The layout of the Stotch residence is seen different in this episode compared to how it was in the episode My Future Self and Me. It is displayed with a picture to the right of the door and a window to the left of the door, and it's a little bit different prior episodes. This, of course, was the first appearance of Officer Barb Brady since the episode Erection Day. And this episode features the first major appearance of Hillary Clinton, who has an abnormally giant ass. This was a reference to Channel 4 News' Hillary Clinton's ass just keeps getting bigger joke in earlier seasons. So that is your references to pop culture continuity, a little bit of controversy, and trivia. Joe, what do you like about this episode?
My favorite thing in this episode is Cartman using his ass as a torture device. This was probably my favorite comical torture device used in a TV show until the Boondocks made their parody of 24, and their Kiefer Sutherland had like not just a steel-toed boot, but just like a giant steel boot that he'd kick people in the nuts with.
Yeah, that was good.
So and the absurdity of having the nuke in her sniz.
Snuke.
Yeah, the Snuke.
Scoop, what'd you like about this episode?
Pretty much everything that Joe said so far. I love that the dude gets eaten by her vagina. Her vagina eats him. He goes. I'm a little disappointed that we only get. I'm a big Kenny fan, so I love when Kenny played more of a role. But we didn't see any Kenny. But I kind of get it with this episode, and that's I love the Cartman and Kyle thing going back and forth, but they're almost like friends and allies. It's pretty funny. If this was your first episode into South Park and you never watched an episode before this one, you would think that Kyle and Cartman are friends.
That's true. That is true. Kyle Cartman, that was the first person he called.
Yeah.
That's a good point here. There wasn't too much I didn't dislike about this episode. When this episode first came out, I wasn't a big 24 fan. So this almost I don't know, it cinched my feelings for it because they made fun of it. And if South Park's making fun of it, I thought, well, maybe they didn't like it. Obviously, you come to find out later, they're a big fan of it. And this is more of an homage to them itself. But I wasn't a big fan of 24. But this episode, I enjoyed it. So it kind of gave me a glimpse as far as the context of an understanding of what 24 was at that time, as far as their basic premise and setups for each plot for each episodes or seasons, if you will, because they do, as I was explaining to Scoop, they do 24 episodes because each hour is one episode. Every hour is one episode. So it's a smart product. It's a smart concept for back then. 2000, 2008. It had never been done before like that. So it was very riveting content, if you will. And the show lasted for 5 or 6 seasons. So I mean, there you go. Even though it was only supposed to last one, because wasn't the president something's about to be blown up? I don't know. I didn't watch the show.
It was the presidential candidate was about to be assassinated.
There you go.
Maybe, yeah.
That's the show. What else? There wasn't really anything I disliked about this episode. Cartman's funny with his racism again. In this case, his racism and ignorance actually helps him, because had he not thought about that initially, then they potentially could have had a terrorist threat by Great Britain. I also thought that was funny that they decided to just use UK again. So there you go. That's my thoughts here. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for another edition. SMB, Suck My Balls, a South Park review. Joe, do you have something to say?
I dislike that we didn't see what ate him inside the sniz.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
What was inside?
That's literally the only thing. I mean, they had already gone inside Paris Hilton or Mr. Slave at that point. So, like, inside body shot, like an internal body shot, I don't think would have been that bad.
I agree. That's a good point. That's a good point, Joe. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host in the heat and it can't be beaten. Regardless, how the air is dry, your boy MSG. You can follow us as a podcast by going to all of your social media outlets, typing in South Park Pod. On Twitter, you can do it at SouthParkPods, P-O-D with an S. You can also go to South Park Podcast on Instagram. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button right here on YouTube. Drop your comment of what your favorite moment of this episode was, what you dislike, what you maybe liked. Let us know if it's in your top 100, 200, 300 episodes of all time. S&C, the double OP, your final words for the day.
Be careful when you're picking up your friend's bong, okay? You know, you might split your finger open somehow.
You broke my bong.
Yeah, I had an accident somehow. And there was I've got a nice...
Broke my bong before
nice
the podcast, Joe. You might be wondering what my mood has been a little off because he broke my bong. That's why.
Oh, okay. See, and I thought it was my fault.
You broke my bong.
Your mullet looks nice.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Joe, this episode will be dropping next week. So what do you got planned for the week of January 13th?
The week of January 13th, Friday the 13th, Reaper Independent Pro Wrestling at your grandma's house on Broadway. That's the name of the brewery. That's the name of the brewery. And like, if you go into the the main bar room, it literally looks like your grandmother's house from the 1970s. It's great.
I think I think that band Red Sage, my buddy's band, has played there a couple times.
Yeah, they host music. They're gonna have wrestling there. They've had wrestling there the last few months. Go check that show out. Saturday, January 21st, Colorado Springs Wrestling, Sunshine Studios Live, and Versus Pro Wrestling in Las Vegas. Both of those are good shows. I will be in Vegas.
And of course, as we mentioned, check out primosprowrestling.net. You can also check out AEW Dark Elevation, which is up on their YouTube channel right now if you want to see a lot of the Primos Pro Wrestling stars in it.
Yeah, the January 2nd episode specifically.
Well, shout out to our boy, Mr. Dane Becker, who's not here, the man who brings the pain in the digital marketing game, guy who gets you to click on his pictures. So go check out Dane. And I think I also saw that he was promoting Championship Wrestling now. So I saw it today on his Facebook. So check out Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. I think that he's doing the Derby City Championship Wrestling out in the Tennessee, Memphis, Atlanta area. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that Knoxville area. But if you are, go check it out. So check him out on the there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for another edition of SMB, a South Park review. We'll be back next week as we're going to try and follow that egg and learn a lesson about Easter, about painting eggs, and Randy. Another Randy episode. We'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, next week on another edition of SMB. Thanks for dropping by.